Well, welcome to yes, and especially you to Voices, the talk show hosted by none other than the Queen herself, Miss Renee Noor. Renee is the founder and the creator of the Global Women Wealth Warriors and the GW3 Club on Clubhouse, the audio app. Our members are passionate about positively impacting the lives of women and girls while also enriching men to reach an abundance lifestyle. What type of lifestyle? I'm so glad you asked. A lifestyle gained through financial literacy, learning new currency, and maintaining healthy eating for wellness. Renee is a global keynote speaker, an award winning international Ebony Fashion Fair model, a marathon runner, an award winning golfer, along with too many other awards and accolades for me to mention during the show. So go ahead and put your hands together for none other than the beautiful one, the legend, the intellectual mentor, just to name a few, the woman herself, the daughter of Miss Willie Mae, our friend Queen Renee Noor.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Pastor Jeff. How are you doing this Sunday evening?
I'm super fantastic, Renee. If I was any better, I'd be on Pluto.
I will be on there with you, okay? I'll be right there with you. Well, it has been an incredible year, Pastor Jeff. When you think about how we have transformed from leaving from the clubhouse and coming into the houses of many faces and many individuals over the world, it has truly been remarkable. And I could say, we've got some really great relationships thus far. And I just want to say thank you. You look very dapper over there as well.
Well, you are looking very stunning yourself, Renee, as you always do. I mean, you keep me on my toes, and we would expect nothing less coming from a world renowned Ebony Fashion Fair model.
Well, thank you. This season I'm wearing the one and only our very own Karen Getty's. Her collection have truly suited me so well. And I'm just honored to say that we've got so many incredible relationships right from the clubhouse. Just thinking about what we've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time has been truly remarkable. And I cannot tell you enough of how we were able to just enjoy the Power to Soar Leadership Conference. The fifth annual Power to Soar Leadership Conference really helped us to bring out some of our best, but at the same token, we were able to bridge the gap with some of our young leaders. And I'm so grateful that we've had the opportunity of working alongside with individuals like the Glenn Lundys, alongside with Frederick Penny, as well as, oh my God, the list goes on and on. Jeff, the entrepreneur. And who are some of the ones that you truly enjoy working with as well, Pastor Jeff?
Well, absolutely. I think we all enjoy working with Glenn. He is such a visionary and he created the world's greatest and largest breakfast club, which has been so impactful. Like you say, within 2 years, the relationships that have been established from that meeting has been phenomenal. And then people like T.M. Hyman and Pastor Terrence Davis. We were able to give a small snippet of what we do on Tom Ford Fridays, right there at the fifth annual Power to Soar conference. And indeed, it was always my pleasure. And there's always beautiful, intelligent women. And also, you surround them with intelligent men who always have something to pour into us to inspire us to go from where, as Glenn would say, from where we want to be to where we can be.
Absolutely. Not only being able to honor him with a Lifetime Achievement Award, because he truly deserved it. I'm looking at how we're going to continue on. I would say what we keep on excelling, we keep on expanding, as well as we keep on growing every year. So, how are we going to beat Power to Soar 2022 coming up for 2023? We're just going to have to keep on finding those amazing superhumans. And tonight is a special night, Jeff. Not only were we able to find incredible souls right from the clubhouse, but two, oh my goodness, two remarkable talents that I can say they're authors. Tonight we have special guests that are both their authors. And guess what? Both of them had the audition with the man himself, Mr. Grant Cardone, one of also Glenn Lundy's, one of his mentors of all times. They went to audition at the Speak On celebration right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, go figure that. One, we've had the opportunity of honoring her as one of our chairwomen, Miss Malika Starr, and truly appreciate everything that she does in the community. And the other gent, not only was he right there with us with the Breakfast with Champions, but his voice just really stood out. And then we had the opportunity of getting to know him better because he came into one of our clubhouse rooms. And lo and behold, both of them were able to find each other. You know how so funny this is, Jeff? Here I am talking to Malika Starr. I was talking to one of them, and lo and behold, they could hear my voice in the background while they're getting ready to meet up on Saturday. I'm like, oh my goodness, God is great. God is so great.
Serendipity at its best.
At its best. And tonight, we have the honor and the privilege of bringing both of them to the stage with Voices, the talk show.
This is going to be good, Renee.
Yes, it is. So, let's see. Let's how we're going to do this one here. Both of them are remarkable. First, Malika Starr, because you always say the ladies have to go first.
I was going to say, Renee, we always do ladies first.
Yes.
Chivalry is not dead.
Absolutely, it's not. Not only have I had an opportunity of getting to know this woman, her voice, it truly resonates with your DNA. We were in one of our trading rooms learning more from Rundown right there in the clubhouse. And here it is, her voice just stood out. And we connected while she used to live right there in the DMV. Thus far, she traveled to Atlanta and she found herself her home with her beautiful children. Since then, we've not only traveled to New Orleans together, she's been a part of the Power to Soar Leadership Conference now 2 years back to back. And it just gives me so much of an honor and a privilege to bring not only our publisher for the GW3 Warriors, but she's also an author. And, we honored her also for the Power to Soar Leadership Conference. So let's bring up the one and only. I'll let you do the rest.
None other than the beautiful, the phenomenal, the one who was named to be a star, Miss Malika Starr. Malika, how are you, beautiful?
I am wonderful. I am so glad to be here tonight. And so thank you so much, Renee and Pastor Jeff. It is always amazing to be amongst the two of you guys. I just feel like I'm amongst greatness. And you guys are the true living stars. So thank you so much for having me tonight.
Well, you have the name Star.
Really? And you want to know something really quick? I was actually named by the famed poet and activist Amiri Baraka. So that name is synonymous. It really is my name. And it's short for Starbisha. And I used to hate that name. And God has elevated me now, and my twin would call me Malika Starr all the time. And so one day I just embraced it. And there's a story behind it, but now I embrace it. It's who I am. I love it. I've always loved my name Malika because I always knew it meant queen. And so you don't have to put queen in front of my name. You just have to say my name. But that whole Starbisha part, I just was like, ugh. And somebody used to tease me when I was little and call me Start and get beat up. And so now, you just got to let the past be the past, honey, and embrace the name for what it is. It's Malika Starr.
Love it. She always have great energy. You always make us smile. I want you to know that first and foremost, Malika. And, you have truly lived up to your name. I just remembered just hearing your voice and how it echoed on the clubhouse. And now having you in our face day by day, it just keeps on elevating and elevating. You have truly been a pillar to continue on helping to build the GW3 Warrior Society. But most importantly, I love your relationships that you have with your family. I had the pleasure, Pastor Jeff, of meeting both her brothers, and we wind up playing spades together. Oh, Pastor Jeff, that right there was not a nice setting, okay?
I bet I can see the slamming down and maybe some explicitives running, and some folks had
No,
some
Renee
good
was
hands.
not ready for
Look,
those two right there.
Oh
She
my
was
goodness.
not prepared. She was not prepared. First of all, my brothers are good looking, and then they talk a lot of smack, and they come with so much confidence. If you don't have Renee, thank God she has confidence, because
Yes.
if you don't have enough confidence to sit down at they will have you all discombobulated. Needless to say, they beat us the toes off of us, but that's okay, because
Yes.
they'll be back for the holidays, and Renee will be back over for the holidays, and we will redeem ourselves.
Yes,
now, are
absolutely.
they from the north?
They are, yes, we
'Cause
are. We all
we
hail
don't play
from
about
North New
spades in the
Jersey.
north. Now
I know.
we don't play.
We all hail from North New Jersey, and I must admit that back in the day, we would play spades from sun up to sundown, honey, or we would at least go from sundown to sun up playing spades. So that has been my family's. That is our second generation. Now, the first generation, they from my grandmother, they were all poker players. Whoo, honey,
That's
I
a whole
remember
nother
those
setting
days
that's
as
a
a
whole
altogether.
nother
teenager.
game right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we
we didn't
embrace
play poker, but it was uh, uh
Pacino.
well, my mom actually played Pacino, and we they would also play Bid Whist. So I learned how to
Bidwiz. Now,
play.
my mom is the Bidwiz player. She the Bidwiz queen, honey.
Okay.
That's Sandra. She can play. Now, she hails her family. We from New Jersey, but our roots are Georgia and New Orleans. So I tell Renee we related anyway, because my grandfather is from New Orleans.
Well, Malika, you not only have an amazing story, just watching you gradually go into this new Malika Star, the celebrity Malika Star, the fame, and all of the other greatness that you have just oozing out of you. Share with us, what have your journey been like? Your mother of, I would say, four beautiful kids, and you can correct me on that if I'm,
Yes.
Mistaken. Also, you have your beautiful mother, the relationship. I know I didn't get an opportunity of meeting her, but just to hear you speak so highly of your mother, it always just resonates in my soul, because of course, my beautiful mother, as Pastor Jeff always talk about, Miss Willie Mae Wilson. She's not here with me today, however she lives through me. But to have your mother right here with you in Atlanta, how does that make you feel, as well as just being the pioneer? You have been moving mountains over there, young lady.
Well,
Tell
I
me.
give all credit and glory to God. If I must say, me and my mom didn't always have the best relationship. So for us to be like best friends now, and her to be in my corner and me to be here for her, is nothing but a testimony of God's love, grace, and the power of forgiveness. And so I love it. Not that my mom didn't always have my back. It's just that I just made choices. I always felt that I was the victim, because I had to battle and compete with my twin brother, he loved all the attention, all eyes on me. And even there, we've been able to heal that relationship, and for the power, it's just the power of forgiveness. You know what I mean? Just to say, what, we're as adults now, our mom is the last matriarch of our family, because now her brothers are gone on to be with the Lord. Her mothers and fathers going on to be with the Lord. All she has left is us. And if we constantly bickering and arguing, then, and divided, there's no strength there. And so my mom is actually the reason why I'm here in Atlanta. I never thought I would leave Maryland. I never thought I would leave my church. I never thought that, because I hail from the great City of Praise Family Ministries under Bishop Joel R. Peoples and Dr. Yolanda Peoples. And I never thought I would leave my church. Everyone knew I loved my church. I was never leaving Maryland. But there was a shift that happened. God sent me a relationship, and the man was here. My mom was here, and my mom was aging, and something happened, and I couldn't get to her fast enough. And I was just like, God, I gotta get to Georgia. Even before I met my guy, my mom was here, and I was like, I gotta get to Georgia. We came to visit, and it just felt like home. And my god sister, she was like, I'm moving to Georgia. And I was like, don't leave me. I'm gonna go. Don't leave me. Don't move. And then I wound up moving down here first. We laugh about it all the time. And so just God just shifted things for me, and it's just all a testimony, because when it was time to leave, he just seamlessly made things work. Like, I never thought I would live with my mom again, and I had to stay with her for about 5 months. And it was really hard. We put 11 contracts on houses. The house that I sit in right now is the house that I guess God wanted me to have, because this was the 11th contract. And it was amazing. It was just what I wanted. It's still fairly new, in a new development. And so just God just made it happen. Boom, 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 boom. And so that's why I give all credit and glory to him, and just giving me the tenacity to not be afraid to leave, and not be afraid to grow, and not be afraid to put myself out there. And so I thank him for that. I don't know if I'm a celebrity yet, but I definitely enjoy being around people that celebrate me and not just tolerate me. And I thank you, Renee, for always showcasing, and celebrating who we are. That's what Global Women Wealth Warriors were. And from day one, I never hesitated when you said, well, this is Global Women Wealth Warriors. I was like, I want to be there. I even love the name. I was like, I want to be there. And just to be there in the way you embrace, and the way you're there, and the way you show up for us. If I must brag a little bit, hey, if you leave Tyler Perry's party to come be at my backyard barbecue, all gowned up, I just felt like I meant something very special to you. And so my heart is forever indebted to you. And I know that Global Women Wealth Warriors, we're here to take over the world. And I'm so glad that you're here. A lot of people can say that they're your friends, but it's the ones that really show up for you. Those are the ones that are true. I used to say ride and die, but now it's just that ride and live partner. So thank you, Renee, for being that for me.
Oh my goodness. You make me want to start tearing up, young lady. Thank you. Yes, yes. Well, just to watch, your transformation, Malika Star, and like you said, it took 11 times in order for you to find your dream home. Most people don't realize the importance that it takes in that space. Sometimes it's not about our timing; it's always about God's timing, and that's why it's so important when you realize your purpose and your passion. You always make sure you give him all of the glory. And that's what you did. You gave him the honor. And, when you are a person that's using your vessels not in vain, but because you're here to impact humanity with everything that you have, you can understand and appreciate that. And that's wisdom. And that's what I gather from you. I take a lot of, you get wisdom, but also you always point us, because you're one of our prayer warriors as well, young lady. Yes, you are.
Would you
And
believe?
whenever you get
Would
on
you
that
believe?
mic, you already know. You hear the, Pastor Jeff, because she drops the mic every time. And one of the greatest things we love about you, you always are able to be honest. You're so honest about who you are. That piece, it just let us know, your soul is genuine. And, your journey, becoming an author of Now That I Know Better. That book right there, beautiful. Hello, that's right. I want you to talk about what was your inspiration in regarding to putting your journey out there. Why now? Why now?
Well, I would say the first thing that started with, I always wanted to be a writer. And I tell the story all the time because it is for real. So I've been writing since I was 12. I used to write poems and love letters. It started with me writing love letters. Like, I couldn't always express my heart, but I would put my feelings onto a paper. And I won over the hearts of those that I was writing to. And then, I used to write for my friends as well if they needed letters. And then when I moved to Maryland, if I found myself in between jobs, or I found myself even on jobs, I would write poems. I would write signature poems. I was the best Hallmark card, because I would write the poems, put them in a frame, and sell them. Or people could hire me to write a poem on their behalf, and they would give these poems to their loved ones in a frame. And so I've been writing, and I always said I wanted to write a book. and someone knocked me down, but you can't listen to the people that knock you down. Somebody really literally said, shut up, dummy, you'll never write anything. And I just was like, wow. And then after I went through um a, a turbulent marriage, and and just because, and not throwing that person under the bus, because I loved him with every ounce of my being until it started to make me sick. And then I had some choices to make. And so after that relationship dissolved, I started this quest just to know who I was and just know of why am I even here, God? Like, if you've ever loved anybody that didn't love you back, or you were kind to people who couldn't be so kind to you. I was teased. I wasn't always beautiful, Malika. I was called ugly and voodoo on a stick and olive oil and all those things, those names that people could call you. I was teased for being underdeveloped and not having breast and butt. I mean, men have left me for women that were more voluptuous or had more money. That could really mess with someone's self-esteem. And then I would do things that weren't really respectful of who I was, because, I wanted to win their hearts over. And so my pastor had a challenge, and she said, it's time to rise up. And you needed to rise up against those things that were holding you back. And she challenged us to do a 1-minute video, go on Facebook. It was in a private group. And I had to rise up and say, my name is Malika. And at the time it was Malika Carey. And I said, I'm Malika Carey, and I'm rising up against low self-esteem and lack of respect. And I want to say right there, that moment, my life changed, because I then wrote on the wall of my house on a sticky note, a big giant sticky note. I put on there, I will not get depressed in the process. So after the marriage dissolved, then my father dies. Well, no, not before. No, first the marriage died. And then I said, you know what? I'm going back to school and I'm going to finish getting my degree. And then my brother was like, well, come on. He had gotten his master's degree, or it was a process. He said, come on, let's get a master's. And I was like, no, I don't get a master's. I'm going to write my book. And I sat down, and God graced me that I was able to have time while I earned money, write my book. It took about 7 months, but I said, Lord, help me write this story. And it was inspired by a conversation I was having with a coworker, and it reminded me of some of my mother's wisdom. Now, they say Maya Angelou said it first, but I heard it from Sandra Honore. And she said, when you know better, you can do better. But I take it a little bit faster, that when you know better, you can have better, you can live better, you can love better, you can have more compassion and love. And so I wrote my truth. And now that I know better, that's this right here. And I wrote the first edition, and it was just an ebook. And people kept saying, the ebook. And then it was like, we want a hard copy of the book. And so it just kept evolving and evolving. And so that's how we got here. And I love it. I mean, I talk about from anywhere from the first mistake I ever made to being free enough to live this life I'm now living. So actually, I wrote my happy ending.
And you are just that, Malika Starr. Not only have you brought happiness to us, I'm glad that you found yourself, because most people are always trying to, based upon what people call you, right? You mentioned that already, sometimes we get stuck in that moment of not responding to who we really are. You found your purpose, you found your passion. You knew just because it was calling you those names, you were not what they were calling you. And you saw beyond that. And you became this influence. And that's what you are to us. You're an influence that throughout all of the pain that you've gone through, you have truly stood in your greatness. Look at you. Absolutely beautiful. Look at you, Malika.
It's God. That is nothing but God and good. Let me tell you something. What God did was he moved me from the negative into the positive. And when he sent me to then at that time, Jericho City of Praise, he also sent mentors and women who said, I'll be your mother. They became my godmothers. They taught me how to pray. My pastor pulled me in, and she was like, you're going to be part of the leadership team. And I need you to be a project life giver. I'm a kingdom queen. My girlfriend Teresa was like, let me show you this meeting planning game. And she showed me how she's a meeting planner extraordinaire, but she also exposed me to worlds where I got to have conversations with people like Louis Gossett Jr. and more celebrities and stuff like that. And so it exposed me, and I thank them. And then I coaches like Bob Yates, and these were the people that were there who helped me to prepare me. So when I met Renee Noor, I was ready. I was ready. Because you got to put yourself around people who are going to build you up. And even sometimes when people were building me up, the damage was so bad that I still had to pray, God, please help me see what these people see in me. I don't know what they see. I was so torn up. And then one day my pastor came to me and she said, you choose when the bleeding stops. Pastor Yolanda saved my life. It's like she put the CPR mask on me and she said, you choose. And I was like, I really get to choose? And I know my mother has said it to me first, but I really wasn't hearing her. And so God said, I'm gonna send you somebody that you'll listen to. And so for that, I'm just indebted heartstrings to all the people who saw enough in me. Rhonda Williams, well, like back in the day, she was Rhonda Jones. She was my best friend in 6th grade. And she said, Malika, you could be a model. Don't listen to what they say. You could be a model. I didn't even know what a model was. And so I was just grateful for that opportunity, for those people who poured into my life. And then to have my mother send me a letter and say, I'm so proud of the woman that you've become, because I know I wasn't easy bringing up. I had an attitude all the time, and I felt like she didn't love me. So if you don't love me, why should I listen to you? And so I rebelled. But when rebellion is over, you got to surrender. And that's what happened. I surrendered. And when I surrendered, God said, okay, now I can move. When you stop trying to do it yourself, now I can move. And now I can give you your heart's desire. And I like to say that to anybody who's out there. If you are struggling or wrestling right now with where you want your life to be versus where you currently are, don't look at where you are right now. Look to what you see. Our Apostle Betty P. Peoples used to tell us, don't look at, and it's written in the word of God. Don't look at what you see now, because that's only temporary. Look to the things that God has shown you. And I'm just living out that word. And so I thank you, Renee, again for giving me this awesome opportunity to lend a voice to me, and meeting Pastor Jeff, and just knowing that we've got brothers, we got warrior brothers, and I've got my warrior sister. And I'm just loving this moment right now. So again, thank you.
Ooh, I love it. Come on, let's go ahead and give you some big hugs. My goodness, Malika Starr. Absolutely, absolutely. In this time of this program, we want to continue on with this conversation, Pastor Jeff. Since she mentioned her big brothers, okay, we got one of our big brothers that we're going to be bringing to the show, also with voices. That will be the man himself, Mr. Michael Swain, which you had the opportunity of meeting Michael Swain.
Right. Talk about Clubhouse
businesses. Yes.
Right.
So what we're going to do, we're going to, I guess, watch a little bit of a clip. And when we come back from watching a little bit of an intro of Voices, we're going to have Michael to join us. Malika, you share with us your amazing story, but we're going to bring you back as well, because we want to do some deeper dive questions with you, right, Pastor Jeff? Pastor Jeff,
Absolutely.
like, oh, yes, absolutely. So not only we're going to bring up the man himself, who literally from penitentiary to now speaking on mega stages about his story, about his triumph, but most importantly, about his God as well. When you have faith and you believe in you overcoming that tragedy, as they say, sometimes you got to get right into your stillness so you can find your purpose, and most importantly, so you can continue on making an impact to the world. So when we come back, not only are we going to have the man himself, Mr. Michael Swain, that's going to be joining us, but we're going to learn more about both of these successful authors right after these messages.
Global Women Wealth Warriors have traveled from Atlanta, Amsterdam, Italy, Las Vegas, Paris, New York City, Miami, Africa, Dubai, and so many other destinations impacting and changing lives worldwide, especially women and girls.
You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it.
You got to come off and mute if you want to be heard. That was
Yes.
phenomenal. We're ready to hear from the man himself, none other than Michael Swain, with a phenomenal, inspirational story.
You know, Pastor Jeff, I'm just loving the fact we're going to come all together in this setting so we can see all these beautiful faces, right? You know, we're looking forward to not only having the kingpin himself straight from the penitentiary, now he's right here from the clubhouse into the houses of millions as they're watching this particular episode. But the greatest part about it, if we can have the producer to just make sure all of us are on the set at the same time, that'll be awesome. You know, Michael Swain is an amazing giant that realized that his voice needed to be heard. You know, sometimes we have to go through the journey of being where we are, but understanding also things are sometimes just a temporary thing, right? It's just a temporary thing. And not only did Michael understand his voice needed to be heard right there in prison, he became an author. That author that has led him now into the arms of so many, including Grant Cardone, one of Glenn Lundy's, one of his mentors. So without further ado, we want to bring the man himself, Mr. Michael Swain, up to the stage. Michael, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. How are you, Miss Renee?
I'm doing great. You know, you gave us such an incredible opportunity of getting to know you in the clubhouse. Okay, come on now, guys. Right there, we first heard your voice on Breakfast with Champions. And when you spoke, I think it was during the segment with Glenn Lundy. He was just wrapping up his morning segment. And when you poured into the conversation, everybody's eyes had to light up, Jeff. I know mine did, right? You know, you spoke with so much confidence. You shared with us your story in regarding to, you know, your tragedy. But some people might have thought as a tragedy, it was a moment for you to be still and be obedient because God had a huger calling over your life. So share with us your journey, Michael, please.
First, I'd like to say something to Miss Starr, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
You said something that touched me. You said about when you was writing your book, you asked God to help you. Right? I wrote a book called My Successes and My Struggles. And it was my book that I would write to let people know that, because Prison Kingpin is a raw story. I don't think you know, the average grown person want to read that book, right? But I'm a man of God. Like, I've always stayed as close to God as I could. Even in living the way I was living, selling drugs across the country. So when I wrote My Successes and My Struggles, I asked God, I said, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, then guide my pen. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, if this is really you talking to me, season my words with salt that comes through this ink on this paper. And that book, I haven't brought it out yet, but that book, I'm so proud of that book because the Spirit told me never put a price on it, give it away. right? So it gave me my life journey gave me 10 books, right? So when I heard you say that, I know that that's real because that happened to me. But my story starts, I was born in 1974 in Lake Wales, Florida, in Lake Wales Hospital. I grew up in a little small town called Dundee, Florida. That's Dundee. And in the early years of my life, I remember in my grandmother's home on Molina Avenue. We was the last house on the right-hand side of the street if you're coming down from the stop sign and the street sign. But it was a dirt road that came around the back of the house, around the side. But we was the last house on the right side of the street. As far as I can remember back, there was only 2 houses on our street that didn't have a man in the home. That was my mother and my grandmother's house. And then there was a house that was 3 houses up that was across the street, but they didn't stay there long. So it ended up just being our house. It was the only house on the street without a man in the home. So mind you, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. So that was in the 70s, you know, the system had started its how would I say, its plan to continue the hands of slavery in America. A lot of people get offended by some of the things I say, but I'm raw, right? So, and I mostly I don't really care who I'm offending because I know I'm offending those that need to be offended. So during that time, in a single mother home, single grandmother, my grandmother was heavily diabetic stricken. She would go to dialysis 3 times out a week. And I remember my granny coming home and she just didn't have strength to do nothing. And so even as a child, like my granny used to say, Michael was never a child. He was never a little boy, never, ever, right? And I don't know if that was something that she spoke into my life that harmed me or helped me. I'm still, that's still out for debate. The jury's still out on that one. But I remember struggling. I remember times when we had my granny, not we, because I was a child, but decisions had to be made whether to pay the light bill or the water bill, or whether to get groceries and let the water go off or the lights go off, use candles, go across the street, get 5 gallons of buckets of water, bring them back in the house, boil the water on the stove, all of that. Like, you name it, we've been through it if it was anything to do with poverty, right? So as a child, I wanted to help as fast as I could. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing different. Like, I knew I was put here at that time to help my mother, grandmother, family's conditions. So into the crack era. By the time the crack era came, I had saw the movie Scarface, which really, if we think about it, that really was what introduced cocaine to most of the ghettos across America, right? Because it wasn't long after Scarface, cocaine was turned into crack. So I started selling crack during the dawn of the crack era. I was 11 years old. I was placed inside of a juvenile appointed foster home because I had started stealing when I was about 7, 8 years old. Stealing out of stores, not breaking into people's homes or nothing like that. I was stealing out of stores. It was a few times I did break in people's homes, but that was never like my thing. I didn't really like that. But I definitely would go in the store and I would steal like candy, cookies. I remember one time we didn't have nothing to eat. I stole a loaf of bread and 2 packs of hot dogs, and I probably was like 8, 9 years old. And I know, I look back now, and these ladies that worked in this store, this was our local grocery store. Like, just think about it. I was a 7, 8-year-old kid, 9, maybe 9 at the most. and I got a loaf of Merita white bread up under my shirt. This loaf of bread is bigger than my waist, so I know people definitely saw it, but they let me walk out of the store. I guess they were saying if he's stealing bread, he's hungry. So I took that home. My granny didn't say nothing. We didn't have no food. She didn't say nothing. She just looked at me the whole time we was eating them hot dogs. She didn't say nothing. But I knew she knew I didn't have no money. So the ironic part about me when I started selling crack, I was in the hands of the system. So my village, Dundee, Florida, right? Everybody knew my grandmother. Everybody knew my mother. My granny's sisters was in this village. So everybody knew my family. Like everybody in my village would not have given me crack to sell at 11 years old. But the system that took me away from my village, in that system is where I learned about crack cocaine. In that system is where I started selling crack cocaine. Fast forward, I went to prison when I was 16, dealing in cocaine. Got out of prison at 16. At 16, I slowed down. At 16, I asked God while I was in prison, what's my purpose? Like, why did you create me? And I knew it wasn't to be in prison, like, because I was a like physically gifted child. Like I was fast, I could jump high, like nobody could beat me running. Like I was dunking a basketball goal at 12 years old. So, but all those God-given talents at that time, they really didn't do nothing for me. Like when I saw that I could beat everybody running, I wasn't interested in running no more. When I seen I can, do my thing on the basketball court, it didn't really interest me no more because it wasn't giving me, I needed money. I needed a relief. So I started asking God at 16, why did you create me? And that set a motion in effect in my life. So from 16 to 42, I went to prison 4 times. At 42, God answered my question directly, February 16, 2016, in the wee hours of the morning while I was in solitary confinement in Eddyville Penitentiary in Eddyville, Kentucky. And God answered me. And it was an answer, like a direct answer. Like it wasn't I think that's God, or I think I hear something. No, it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And in solitary confinement, it's very quiet at that time of the morning, but only that day. Because most of the time in solitary confinement, it's noise. Like all the time, people are beating on the door. People are making beats and rapping and playing chess, calling out their chess moves. It's just chaotic in solitary confinement. But this night, it was so quiet that you can literally hear the steps of a mouse on the ground. That's how quiet it was. And I was in the last cell on the wall, and I don't tell a lot of people this, but the Spirit's telling me to tell this. I was in the last cell on the wall, and beside the cell that I was in, there is a gate that they can come in and out of. But this gate's very rarely used. They don't use it for nothing but training. Other than that, they come out of the gate that's in the front of the wall. So I'm in cell 20. You got 19 other cells in front of me, and that's where the guard comes in at. They don't use this gate. So this night, I prayed 2 days before that. And that's how we get the name Prison Kingpin to my book, to my series, right? While I was in prison, I continued to sell drugs, right? I've made a lot of money from in prison, a lot of money. Like, you wouldn't believe how much money I made from prison. So let's just say, I'll just give you a rough number. At the least, every month I made $10,000. That was the least amount of money, right? And so this night was 2 days before that. I went to the hole because of solitary confinement, because somebody had told on me, right? But my operation was going smooth and no problems at all. And I trusted the wrong person, and he told on me. So I knew the police, the guards wanted me, and they used that opportunity to lay me down. So I'm in prison inside of a prison. And for some reason, I just dropped down on my knees and I opened my arms. I looked up at the ceiling and I just told God, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of looking at who I'm looking at in the mirror. I'm tired of hurting people's lives. I'm tired of being that person that a junkie or dope addict or whatever can get. I'm tired of being that person that was a point of contact that I didn't want to be the provider no more. I didn't want to be that plug no more. So, oh man. But so 2-3 days later, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up out of my sleep and I was crying. I didn't wake up crying. I was boo-hoo crying. That's never happened to me before, right? I know I didn't have a nightmare. I don't have nightmares. And that night, that morning, I saw something walk past the cell. Well, go past the cell because it wasn't walking. It went past the cell. Now the gate, the door is on my right. Now this is the old penitentiary with the penitentiary bars. There's metal now. They welded metals of sheets of metal to the bars because it's solitary confinement. So they don't want you sticking your hand out of the bars. It's the old prison bars. So, but I saw what you would think would have been a person, and my feet on the side of the bed on the floor, and I'm boo-hoo crying, like baby crying, like tears, secretion from my nose, slob. It's forming a puddle in between my feet. I'm a visible puddle, not like somebody poured water. That's how big it is. It's a puddle. And when I saw that, I'm like, I didn't hear no gate. And this is the old prison, so the keys are like this big, and they got like 4 or 5 of them that they hang from their belt, so you hear them when they walking. Clink, 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 clink. You heard none of that. So if they'd have stuck this key in this door and turned this lock, you'd have heard clink, you'd have heard all of that. You didn't hear nothing. So I got up and I'm like, because I knew I saw something. So I got up and I went. And I remember I'm in cell 20, so I can look through the crack and see down the wall. Well, nothing was on the wall, but it was still there. But I couldn't, if I wanted to yell, I couldn't yell. Like, I'm so stuck in the moment that I'm just receiving it all. Like, I'm like, what is going on? But I'll go back and I would bet that I probably put my feet in the same exact place they was when I turned them off the side of the bed. And the puddle's still between my legs. So I had I know what it was. It came through the metal, the sheet metal, through the steel metal bars, and there was no feet on the ground. It just was like hovering there. And I heard a voice, and it said, "You're doing what you're supposed to be doing." The only thing I was doing that was out of my daily routine was I was writing Prison Kingpin. I started writing when I was in my 20s, but I never finished the early book, right? Because I would get to a certain point in the book and whatever girl was in my life, I only would write while I was in prison. Because I was in the streets, I was hustling. I was moving too much. I had stuff going on. I couldn't find the time to write no book. I only would write when I was in prison. But them earlier books, I would get to a permanent point in the book, and I knew it was good because I was using the scale of the other Black authors that was in the game telling the street stories and compare it to them, you know. And so I would get to a point in the book, and I would always send it to them, whatever female was in my life. In hindsight, I know now I was trying to say I'm more than a street NIG, you know. But I never got none of those books back. And so that night, that morning, while I was in solitary confinement, I said, I'm gonna I'm gonna complete a book. I'm gonna write and finish a book. And so that was the only thing I was doing out of the norm, right? So I knew that's what it was. That's what the Spirit was talking about. But it then said, but if you keep doing what you're doing, you keep trying to live the way you want to live in that puddle in between my legs. Now this gonna sound crazy, but it really did happen. It was just like it was a TV screen. And I saw my body laying in a pool of blood on the dope stroll back where I'm from in Florida. And I saw people. I saw three me's. I saw me sitting on the side of the bed. I saw my body laying, blood coming all like oozing out of my body, puddle of blood. And I saw my spirit leaving the body on the ground. And I heard people, oh, somebody done killed, yada, yada, yada. And I could look at myself. I had on nice pieces of jewelry. I was dressed nice. So, I take pride in myself, how I look. So I knew I was doing good, right? Had a little bit of money. And now I'm still crying now. I ain't stopped crying. But this thing, it didn't scare me. It was the most peaceful feeling, Miss Renee, Pastor Jeff, Sister Malika. It was the most peaceful feeling that I've ever felt in my life. To this day, I've never felt nothing like it. Prior to that, I've never felt nothing like it. And then I saw that, and it said, but if you do it the way I'm telling you to do it. That went away, and then I saw myself, and the jewelry I had on was not a blinged out Rolex. It was just a Rolex. It's a grown man Rolex. I don't need you to see no diamonds. If you know what you're looking at, you know I got some money. And I was wealthy. I can tell I wasn't street hood rich. I was wealthy. And I cried after that. I'll say the rest for another time, but I cried for 3 straight days. Nonstop for 3 straight days. I didn't say one word to anybody. The guards would come and deliver my food, and they would be like, man, Swain, you all right? Like, what's going on? And I just look at them, take my tray, and go back. And they sent the doctor to me the guards were saying, like, this guy always keeps a smile on his face. He's always polite. Yes, sir. No, sir. And something's wrong. Y'all need to go check on him. I didn't even talk to the doctor. My eyes, side of my eyes was raw from the salt from my tears. And like, it literally was hurting. And I had to put Vaseline over them, A&D ointment. And I started developing, this was in 2016, so I started developing business plans. I wanted to help the people that I had hurt. I wanted to be the person who would fight the system, not go against the system as to destroy the system, but fight the system in a way that the system would be off the table to the Black community. I wanted to take that away from my brothers who I was incarcerated with. So I started, in my second prison term, I started watching and observing, like, how can I help these people? Because I knew I didn't belong there. So I started watching the talents that they had and the things that they was being taught. And I started developing companies on paper from that. And I came home 2021 with my books. Like, I can't tell you how many letters I wrote outside, from inside to the streets, trying to get people to help me with the money. I had the money. Like, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And they was like, man, we'll do it when you come home. We ain't, So I knew then that this was from God and it was for me, not nobody else. So I stopped trying to get people to do it, and I carried these books around with me like this. And so I came home July the 27th of last year. I brought my first book out July the 30th of this year. And the city that sent me to prison at 16, they gave me this. It's a proclamation. And they gave me Michael Swain Day.
Yes.
July the 27th. Now that means more to me than anything I've ever had in my life. Because who would have thought me You know, I never thought me. As confident as I am, as fly as I thought I was, I never thought that something like that would happen to me. So, you know, to not hold the mic up, you know, that's a little bit of me.
Let me tell you, beautiful. Oh my God. You know, Michael, we needed to hear all of that. We needed to hear all of that. And, you know, over your life history, alone aside with your life experiences, it was an awakening. It was an amazing awakening that no one else could do. When you say, why me? Why not you? Why not you? You know, your purpose of what you were doing, and I'll say that sometimes it's not even about what you had to go through. It's about where you are today and what you're able to appreciate where you stand today. You know, the hardship. I mean, at the age of 11, going through the system years after years after years, I can't even fathom that idea. But you know what? You've been able to, I can say this because I share this with the team. You were built for that. You were built for that. Okay. And not only were you built for it, you're standing taller than you possibly ever could stand now that you're out. And now your story is not only going to help to transform so many other lives, your message is the ministry that's going to continue on living even long after you are here. So the idea of you coming to sit at the largest breakfast, we call it the breakfast table in the world, right there with nothing but champions, thanks to Mr. Glenn Lundy, you've been able to impress upon us, alongside with the Grant Cardones, as well as many others. You met with our star, Malika Star, right there in Atlanta at the Speak On, right? You guys were speaking on.
Speak off.
Speak off. That's it. Speak
The
off. And
great
you were speaking
American,
on. You were
the
speaking
great
on and
American
speaking
speak
on.
off. And he was, I know he was phenomenal. And when I saw his name, he went on, he was in the top 10 of the names when they flash your name up, who goes on to round 2. And I was like, yes, you know. But here's the thing. Let me tell you, Michael gave advice. When we met, he said Malika Star. I was like, yeah, who? Yeah. I didn't think nobody knew because I didn't tell nobody except right before we went except for the Breakfast of Champions Saturday morning, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, I just heard you in the Breakfast Club. I mean, in Breakfast with Champions say that you were headed, and I didn't want to say anything. I was going to surprise you. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be so much competition. He said, it's not competition. Everybody here is a potential business partner. Go out here and make a difference. You sold that into my life. I'm so proud of you. When I saw you had that golden ticket and you're going to Miami and you are going to change the lives of some people right there in that organization as well. They saw in you, like, this is your moment to shine. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you because there's so many people who don't make a difference, who get out of prison and they so glad to be free. They might not go back to what they went through, but they don't take the time to say, hey, I can show you how to turn this into a business so that when you get out, you don't have to ask anybody for a job. You don't ever have to put your prison record down on an application because you got your own business and you're ready to go, a legitimate business that you can go back and you can now make a living off of, you know. And so for that, I applaud you, my brother. I'm so proud of you. And, you know, you never know, Renee will pop up down there in Miami to show you. And then who knows, I might say I didn't pay for the coaching since I didn't get my golden ticket, but I was so happy that one of us did win, because when one of us wins, all of us wins. And I'm just so proud of you. And I didn't know you back then, but I'm glad you're part of our global tribe. And I know that you're going to make a difference in the lives of the people that you touch. Also, go back one more point, and then I'm going to yield the floor. When you surrendered, God could take over. The minute you said, I can't do this no more by my strength, And then to have a visitation by the Holy Ghost. Not a lot of people can say that Jesus personally came and sat down by their side, you know? And so we applaud you and we love your story. And we are so glad you're part of our tribe now. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm Malika Starr. You the floor.
And I'm going to have Pastor Jeff to pour into you as well. But one of the greatest things I want both of you all to know, you were the golden ticket. You both were and still are the golden ticket. It's not about what you have here. It's about what you have in here and here. And with that, no one's going to be able to take that away. And that story going to continue on going. And even if you don't get to the final round, you are the final round. You are the final round, because with your story, it can continue on going on and on long after the experience or the event. Just always know that. We'll always continue on. Pastor Jeff, take it away, my friend.
Wow, as I was listening both to Malika Starr, the Queen Star, and listening to Michael's story first, Malika, I like what Michael said, is it's not a competition, is that it's an opportunity to become a business partner. And as Renee said, you have the golden ticket because you were in the room. And so, there's a scripture that reads to the effect of all things work together to the good of those who love the Lord. I like to change that and say all things work together for God's good. And if they work for his good, they absolutely have to work for our good or for my good. So Malika, there were three things that resonated with me with you. One was the power of forgiveness. And there's three cliches that I remember as a child with the three things that you said. And they used to say, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. But the more I read my Bible, the best-selling book of all times, it does not tell us to forget. What it tells us and instructs us to do is to be able to remember and treat those who wronged us as though they didn't. And so that was key. And then you talked about names. There was another cliche that said, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. What a lie, what a lie, what a lie. Names we know, and you shared it. Pastor Jeff was in that boat as well. Names absolutely hurt. I remember the names to the day. Thank God I've been delivered, because I know I'm not those names. And so we have to be careful about what we say. And then finally, with your book, when you know better, the thing is, Malika, we don't know what we don't know. And so my question would be, if we had time for you, when did you know that you didn't know? Think about that one. Now I want to go to Michael. Michael, as you shared your story, I begin to think, because I grew up in the 70s, I graduated in 77. So I'll give you a clue of my age there in Detroit, Michigan. And if it had not been, for the military, who knows where I would have been, because I won't get to my story. It's not my time for my story every day. But what resonated with me was, Michael, that as you shared your story, I thought about my message this morning, which had to do with the Apostle Paul. He had a epiphany on his way to Damascus. We call it Damascus Road experience. And those who were around him, his companions, they heard the voice speaking to him, but they couldn't see anything. And he was blinded for 3 days. You said you cried for 3 days. The salt came out of your eyes and burned them. You had to have ointment. God has a way of getting our attention like no other. And then once he had that experience, he was a changed man from then to the time that he went from life temporal to life everlasting. And I believe with all of my heart, it's my first time meeting you, Michael. I heard you in the Breakfast with Champions, my first time seeing you, but I believe your life has been changed and will continue to be changed as you impact others. I want to ask you one question before you go, and that is this, Michael. The late, great Dr. Miles Monroe would suggest that we ought to leave this earth empty. When we are put into the grave, that we ought not have anything left. And to that note, on the epitaph, there are 2 dates. In between those dates are a dash. Our life is reduced to that dash. Michael, What do you want people to feel that dash in when they think about you?
I'll say this. We've all seen the movie Rocky Balboa. And that story is about a person that never gave up. Just put on my tombstone, he was our Rocky. That's it. I didn't never want to be the person that died in prison. I never wanted to be the person that hurt anybody. I just was trying to make a difference in my household. That I was the only man in the household. That was it.
What I just heard, Michael, if you can hear it. There's another scripture that suggests if any man or woman be in Christ, they are a new creature. Old things pass away, and behold, all things are becoming new. The truth of the matter is, Michael, the old Michael died in the prison cell and the new Michael was born. That's the Michael that we're talking to today. That's the Michael that's going to make an impact in Miami, continue to make an impact across the world as you tell your story and encourage others to become a Rocky. Get knocked out. Might get knocked out, but you get back up and you keep on going. Because that's what champions do. Renee, pass it back over to you because I already preached one sermon for the day. I'm about to preach another one.
Well, I'm just so inspired by both of these authors that we have here today, Pastor Jeff, and every day, just know that you all are the impact that the world needs. And keep using your voice, keep using your energy, keep using your story to keep inspiring and sharing. I call it an art because it really is. The way you impact others, that's an art. It's an art. And your story within itself, my goodness. I'm tearing up over here. Got to keep these lashes on, Michael, though I have to keep my lashes on for the show. But I just want to let you know how much we love both of you. Malika Starr, she already know. She's my big heart right there, okay? But Michael, we're looking forward to meeting you. You're going to be a part of our boot camp, and we're going to make sure we continue on elevating your name. And like Malika Starr said, don't be surprised. We show up in Miami as your cheerleading crowd, because that's what we do also. We want to keep elevating you. Make sure your name is already up there in the bright lights. But sometimes you need a crowd to keep on, cheering you on. Well, you have that right over here at the GW3 Warriors. We want to keep elevating you. Thank you for everything that you do. You pour so much energy into the club, and I'm just honored. And it is a huge opportunity for us to have both of them on right here tonight.
Absolutely.
Pastor Jeff, both of them.
And Renee, don't forget now
Yes.
that Queen Star is not only an author, but she is also a publisher. So folks need to get their book published. They can check with the Queen Star, Miss Malika Starr herself as well.
Absolutely. Well, guys, before we close out, I want you all to make sure you give your information. Let people know how to get in contact with you. You've definitely impacted and changed our life. So without further ado, Malika Starr, please share with everybody your words of wisdom before we close out. And then how can we get in contact with you?
Absolutely. And I think just a little bit of what I gave yesterday. We come to these moments that impact and that change our lives. And they are pivot points. There we go, that word again, Michael. They are pivot points that change us and redirect us. Don't be afraid of change, because change is good. And always, I always say this best. Lord, grant me the serenity to know when things need to change. God, give me the courage to change the things that I can change, accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I didn't write that, but hey, I know it will give you a pathway to peace, and that it will redirect your life. And storms don't come to destroy, they come to clean the air. So know that at the end of the storm is a rainbow. And so keep looking for your rainbows. I am Malika Star, and you can find me at Meet Malika Star with 2A's.com. And up will pop my 10K card. You can save it to your phone, and there will be all my contact information on how to sign up if you need publishing help, if you need a word of encouragement. Also, when I finish here, I'm gonna stay together because I got a show at 9 o'clock on Facebook. So follow me on Facebook if you available. Every Sunday at 9 o'clock. We do nothing but the truth. And I keep it real, I keep it relevant, I keep it raw, but it's all to grow you and let you know that you too can change. Because if God can take an ordinary girl like me and then catapult me, then I know he can catapult you too.
Absolutely love that. Thank you, Malika Star. And of course, Michael Swain, please let everyone know, but first, words of wisdom, and then how can we also get in contact with you?
Yeah. Let me see. I have to say that we all have a purpose. Like, you go to the smallest ant, like it was created for a reason. The flies that we all hate, they was created for a reason. So everything that God goes and breathes life into is for a reason, a purpose. So when we run into obstacles in our life, that sometimes some of us think, I'm gonna get through this. I can't get through this. Like, this is just too much. Just remember, tough times don't last. Tough people do. If you believe in God, he's always there. Anytime you're thinking about doing something that your conscience is telling you is wrong, believe it. And just ask God to deliver you from it. Just deliver you from it. We all wake up every day with two things, a choice and a chance. Jay Prince said that. I love it. You got a choice and a chance every day that you wake up. So take that chance to make the best choices. My book is available on Amazon, Lulu, also my website, Prison Kingpin. It's a raw story, but when I tell you, when you read this book, you're gonna love the characters in it, and some pretty graphic stuff go on. But it's a message for those that it's written for, and I'm just this. I like to say this to all of y'all, because this was a lot of people call me the weeping prophet, believe it or not, right? And that's because I didn't cry much as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother said it the other day, my baby didn't cry, and I didn't. So I'm wondering, like, why now I cry just when something touches me, it just, I can't help it. And I talked to a prophet after that, Pastor Jeff, that experience of the 3 days of crying. And he told me, he said, you went through a spiritual purge.
Mm-hmm.
And he also called me Paul. Mm-hmm. He said, you're Paul. And you said what you said about Paul. So I guess I'm going to embrace that, being Paul of today. And I'm going to keep walking in my purpose. Thank you for this experience. It was nice. I love the fact you made me dress up. Like, that's, I love that. So thank you.
Well, you look great. You look absolutely
Absolutely.
wonderful. Yes, absolutely wonderful.
Renee is always going to make you dress up. She's going to bring out some kind of fashion, come back for Tom Ford Fridays, the men dress up every Friday.
I'm loving it.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
And truly, we would love to have you for Tom Ford Fridays. Wouldn't we love to have him, Pastor Jeff?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I missed it this Friday, but I won't miss it no more.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, as we kick off this week, it was all about intentions, being very intentional with our time, as well as, our messaging, and most importantly, understanding our purpose and our calling. We are very passionate individuals, and we know God is using us while we're in the best days of our lives. And as we continue on being intentional, living a life that we are doing because of him. We get out of our way. We get out of our mess. So therefore we can embrace all the miracles that God has intended for us. And as I look at both you all tonight, you guys are doing something that's going to help to continue on transforming humanity just by sharing your stories. But most importantly, you are truly being used as children of God. So we'd like to thank you for being a part of Voices, the talk show this evening. And we already know it's going to be some more miracle moments that's going to be happening with all of us coming together, Pastor Jeff, Malika Starr, as well as the man himself, the author, Mr. Michael Swain. So thank you all for joining us for this evening, for this wonderful segment of Voices, the talk show. Pastor Jeff, why don't you go ahead on and close us out?
Well, Renee, you know how I do it. Look here. If nobody's told you today, Pastor Jeff wants to be the first to tell each and every one of you, you have an absolutely beautiful smile. Yes, you look. Look, if you don't believe Pastor Jeff, you find yourself a mirror. I don't care whether it's a side view mirror, a rear view mirror, a bathroom mirror, just get in a mirror. Smile at yourself. I guarantee you yourself is going to smile back. Take that as the master saying, when I created you, I threw the mold away. Now, go out and share that smile with everyone you come in contact with, not because Pastor Jeff said so, but because smiles are absolutely contagious and frowns are frightening, and Halloween is over. It don't come back until next year. God bless each and every one of you.
We look forward to seeing you guys next week on Mondays, Voices to Talk Show, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again, and bye for now.
Shalom.
Global Women Wealth Warriors have traveled from Atlanta, Amsterdam, Italy, Las Vegas, Paris, New York City, Miami, Africa, Dubai, and so many other destinations impacting and changing lives worldwide, especially women and girls.